Welcome to the XPLR NASH podcast. I am your host for today, Stuart Deming, and this episode is brought to you by Blessed Day Coffee. If you need some caffeine in your life, head over to blesseddaycoffee.com. We have two roasts with them. We have the Nashville Espresso Roast, and then we also have the Tennessee Blonde Sunrise Roast. You can use the code XPLR20, XPLR20 at Blessed Day Coffee to get 20% off of your order today. And that coffee is roasted in Hendersonville. So it's a local product. So go support a local business. Joining me today on the podcast is the Assessor of Property, Vivian Wilhoite. Vivian, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today. I've been excited about getting on this podcast. It's pretty cool.
You are welcome. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you do and what's your day-to-day job.
Oh, $1 million question right off the bat, right? So, I am the Assessor of Property of Nashville, Davidson County. And the office of itself, its primary responsibility is identifying, listing, classifying, and appraising all taxable properties in Nashville, Davidson County.
Which is a lot.
276,000 parcels, residential and commercial.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. When I went into office, it was 241,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that additional 30,000? Is that new construction?
It could be new. It's new construction. It's where properties have been subdivided.
Okay.
It could be where condos has been built up.
Yep.
You know, we have to count those that are single.
The
family.
square footage and yep.
Exactly. So God's not making no more land, so you got to you're going to go with expanding on the existing parcels you have, right? And so that's the primary responsibility. But there's a whole lot more to the Office of the Assessor of Property, a lot more. And I've had an amazing journey in reference to not only expounding upon the other functions that we have, but being able to communicate that to the national general public. One of the things that I like to say that the people don't realize in the Office of Assessor of Property is that we care about the values that we give to you. I mean, some may want to think that we're trying to stick it to them, but we're not. There's no personal intent of anything. We have a process that we must follow, and
that's from the state of Tennessee.
It's from the state of Tennessee,
yep.
Exactly. It's not regular. We're not governed by local government.
Yep.
We're governed by state government. We must follow state government procedures in reference to how we appraise and how often we appraise, and that's another topic we can talk about a little later. But that's one of the things. But we also have to look at best practices that have been given the stamp by our appraisal institutes and by the International Association of Assessing Officers, which is some of the two professional, well-known organizations that we kind of follow in reference to what we do. Not only just identifying the property, evaluating the property, listing, and classifying the properties is what we do, but we also do we also want to let people know those values are fair and equitable in our approach. We want people to share their information with us in reference to why they may not feel the same about the value we give them. And then we also, at least I know I took up as a focus when I first got elected, is to make sure people understand the process altogether. Before I, came into I was really blessed by the voters to be the Assessor of Property.
And you've been in this role for 8 years?
8 years, yes, sir. 2 terms.
2 terms, okay.
1 term is 4 years, of course, and looking to get a 3rd term. I want to be like Mahomes. I want to get a 3-peat, right? Yeah. But it's all about in reference to giving people a good product, and that's what's so very important, and that they trust the product. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to understanding the whole dynamics of our responsibility, it's very important that, at least I believe that, and I think that has served us well, is that we got out to do outreach. And we did more than 250, we've done more than 250 outreach presentations since I took office. And that's, where we're meeting people at HOAs, community meetings, church meetings, what have you. Also expanding to school classrooms.
And that's a thing I think a lot of Davidson County residents don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Is I think Metro government as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
I think they do a really good job of having these outreach things. We were literally talking to one of our followers a couple hours ago before this podcast recording. Yeah. And he's like, I've been here for 1.5 years. And I said, well, how are you liking Nashville? And he said, it's okay.
Yeah.
But he's like, we need more type of communication with like actual government.
Yeah.
And I said, well, there's actually community forums. And he said, I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so like, it's a really cool thing that you are taking that step to do that thing.
Yes.
Because like, I had no idea until I owned property what a property assessor did.
Well, you know what? You should have heard my church when when Bishop Walker announced to folks back in 2016 that I was going to run, and it was all like, oh, what's that? You know, because
are you the tax person? Like,
what is that? You know, and so many people, you know, had already known me from being a very active and very available Metro Council member in my district.
And remind me what district you were over.
District 29, Southeast Davidson, bounded by Murfreesboro Pike.
Yep. So like Battlefield, that area called Battlefield, which most people don't know. That's area called Battlefield. It's like Murfreesboro Pike and Spence Lane. There's a little small area.
A little bit further down.
Okay.
A little bit further down. We have to cross over Donaldson.
Yeah.
So you're at Murfreesboro Pike. And
it's where Russ Bradford is?
A little bit past Russ Bradford.
Okay.
You're going to cross over Donaldson.
Nashboro Village.
That's right. So that's Murfreesboro Pike, that whole section, all the way over to Smith Springs Road.
Yep.
And then you have Hamilton Church Road.
Okay. Yeah.
And those are kind of the little general boundary lines right there.
That's a great district.
It's an awesome district.
It's a district that most people don't really know exist in Nashville.
Yeah,
especially
until Vivian became the council person.
And especially the lake access over there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
and
exactly
it's just
right.
like it's like kind of like a sleeper community.
It is,
and it's like there's things to do down there, but like locals don't know about it. Tourists don't know about it.
We had this one amazing restaurant before I became a council person, and I really hate that it closed before I had been blessed by the voters to be the council person for that district. I felt like it was pretty much like Darfon's restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, Darfon's to me
it's a legacy.
Yeah, it's a legacy.
Here.
To me, I called it the Southeast Brick Church.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree.
Very classy, great food, served
They just
hot.
opened the new Italian restaurant in Donaldson off of Donaldson Pike.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so do you... I can't remember. It's right on Donaldson Pike. It's a new development they've been working on for years. They own that Italian restaurant. So the same family
behind
owns
the
Starfunds.
McDonald's?
A little bit past that.
Okay.
So it's like going towards JVI Gardens.
Okay.
And it's like a white building. They own that new Italian restaurant.
Okay.
I've heard incredible things. I have not gone yet.
Okay, I'm going to check it out, and I'll come back and tell you my thoughts about it. But yeah, with the assessor property office, you know, as I was talking about other benefits of that the community were not had not known, I do believe, is, you know, the exemption liaison that we serve for the state of Tennessee. Whenever a church, a charter school, a hospital, or a clinic, in other words, a university, college, any type of entity like that, religious institution or not-for-profit of the sort, begin to establish their business or what have you, or just trying to start with their services, then they must file an application to be exempted. They just can't be exempt just because they're a church. They have to receive exemption. That comes from the state of Tennessee with the State Board of Equalization.
Okay.
And what the State Board of Equalization does is use our office and our deputy assessors to be ones that goes out to ensure that they're actually doing the work that they're allowed to be exempted for under the law.
Oh, okay.
And so there were a couple of organizations that were existing and were not exempt. And I'm saying you're doing the services that government cannot afford to use, such as a person coming from out of prison, a woman coming from prison system, and they want to, and they're doing the transition from into regular life. You know, trying to get started, be connected with their children, things like that. Amazing woman by the name of Trina Frierson. She's found this organization called Mending Heart.
Okay.
And Trina Frierson had these 4 units that she was using at that time for just those services, but she wasn't exempted. She was paying taxes, and of course, as we were moving into the 2017 reappraisal, which we knew how property values were going. I kept asking her, have you filed your exemption papers? She had not. And so by the time the pandemic hit, I saw her again. She had not filed her her exemption paperwork. But long story short, when she finally, hearing what I was saying to her, saying that she could be exempted from taxes because of the services that she provides a not-for-profit, And when she got exempt, she said, "Oh my goodness,
This
I
is saving
cannot
us,
believe
yeah,
it."
so much
she
money.
said, "All these years I
Yep.
paid tax." She said, "Can I get those money back?" I said,
Nope.
"No."
You
Because
paid it.
once government gets your money,
Yeah, you're not getting it back.
it's theirs. Now
Yeah.
they did set a parameter,
Okay.
not in reference to her situation. It has to be some fault on government, but you can get a year plus one, right? But not a year plus one because you just did not file your paper to be exempted. And she appreciated that. But, one of the things she talked about when I had an exemption workshop, I've had 2, matter of fact 3, to help people understand, get your exemption. It is your benefit. It's there for you. You're not cheating anyone. Take advantage of the benefit. Is that she talked about the fact that I stayed on her, but it was all about her taking the action. I could not do it
can't
for
do it.
her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I have a couple other examples that very same thing, because people are understanding, they're thinking is tax that they're exempted from, like going to the store to buy something that is in the treasury realm of responsibility. I said, no, we're talking about property tax.
Yeah.
Property taxes is what we're talking about.
So
that is
let's break
something
that
that's
down
really
a little bit more then.
Yeah,
so
sure.
all the nonprofits that are listening,
Yes.
make sure to contact Vivian's office.
Yes, yes.
Because it's going to save you guys a lot of money.
Yes.
The bigger thing is now the Schedule B.
Yes, Schedule B.
Initially,
Your business.
Initially, I was very confused by this, and I get this tax bill, and I'm like, what is a schedule? Why do I owe Nashville like $700?
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, when you got that Schedule B notice, how long had you been in business?
6 months.
6 months. So
Maybe we started business April 10th of 2019.
right.
I think you send out those letters by June, so you file by October, and I had no idea.
Well, we send them out in the first we send them out by February the 1st.
February the 1st. Okay.
And you have it returned to us by March the 1st.
Okay, but if
And
you're
then
a new
there's some other
business- yeah,
opportunities for you to get it to us before we have to say, okay,
Yeah.
we're about to, do a forced assessment or something like that.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that question is that when you get your permit, which you did go get a permit, right?
Yeah, I got
to
my
be in
business
business.
license. Yeah, of
Are y'all
course.
legal around here?
We are legal.
Okay, just wanna
do
double
you,
check.
do you want to see my business
I do.
license?
No, I'm just kidding.
I have 2 DBAs. I have my business license.
no, I'm serious. I believe you.
Yeah,
Trust me. This is too nice around here to not have your business license. But my point is, and by the way, I am checking out how much could be worth. But anyway, nonetheless, because when you got your business license, it was there in the clerk's office, which was Brenda Wynn.
Yep.
You received some information.
Yep. And then I probably didn't read it.
I was just about to tell you.
To be honest,
I was just
I
about
probably-
to say,
I
hold
think
your right hand up.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I probably didn't read it.
You probably didn't read it.
And
in that
because-
information was information that said, hey, contact the assessor of property. You would need to establish an account because you pay taxes on personal assets for business.
Yep.
Right? And you didn't read it.
Nope.
So then when you got that,
And I was shocked.
you were shocked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're
So
just confused. So that's where that
wonder.
information is. Now,
I wonder if there's a way though, from the clerk's office to say, hey, like this is information that you need, and then you need to come take these forums with the state and with this. And then for me, I'm such a visual learner. That's probably why I didn't read it, because
Okay.
I'm like, I want a video component to
Okay,
this.
a video. Okay.
Yeah, or
All
an
right.
audio experience
Okay.
of this.
Thank you for that idea. We had not thought about a visual component.
Yep.
We have the Brenda Clerk Wynn and we've discussed this, and matter of fact, it was her folks that sent the information up to us.
Yep.
For us to revise.
Brenda came on the podcast like 2 or 3 years ago, right? Right when we moved into the old studio. Yeah, so it's been a while since she's been on, but we broke down what the clerk office does.
Yeah. And so that is that is something we've talked about. And so now I have a revised brochure. It will have color to it. Says, and now that you said that being more visual, we may change.
Maybe change it to like a bright red, saying, "Hey, immediately
Yes.
do this."
Yeah. Well, it may say, before you start your business, you must do this.
Yep.
But it does say on the inside, so hey, you've started your business.
Yeah.
And da 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 da. And come on upstairs. Well, you're not going to read it that moment, But if you did read it that moment, you just come on upstairs and start your business. But my point is that that's one of the things that we do. And when you got that Schedule B, if people don't read it, which we kind of surmised that was the case, which is why we wanted to revise
I would
it.
say out of we meet so many operators, and Schedule B has come up. It just comes up randomly in conversation. Most operators I've met, probably in the last year, it's come up at least 25 times. And they said, I had no idea what Schedule B was.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that has been the case even prior to my coming there. But you know, of course, people may say this is what we've always done it this way, and I'm the type of person that says no.
You need changes.
We need to change it so that we can make it better. It doesn't mean that there's not people paying attention, but just imagine the people we want, the more people to pay attention.
Of course.
Which is what the whole Office of the Assessor of Property was about. When I got there, and with these changes that we've made, I'm pretty proud of them. But can we build on the successes and the achievements that we've already made? Of course we can. And we're prepared to do that. We're ready to do that, and we're doing that.
So back to the Schedule B real quick for the nonprofit side of things.
Okay.
Because they have the personal property for church stuff. Say like church has all of this.
No,
equipment.
you're exempt.
You're exempt. Okay.
You are exempt.
So that was part of the question with the Schedule B that I was exempt.
You are exempt. I mean, you know, when you think of the fact I said about Mending Heart having those 4 units, when I first became aware of the organization, they were paying property taxes, and they were in an area that was really about to have a big boom.
So they were in North Nashville?
That's North Nashville. That's exactly right.
Yep.
Over an area called the Nations.
Yep. I remember. Because down the road from that, Cross Point, or somebody had a center over there.
Okay.
Off of 51st for rehab.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I think that it became even more pressing for her when I saw her again and asked her again and put her on the spot again. And she had also acquired more property to help more women, which was amazing. But yeah, she finally got it. And she'll tell you, I like the way she said, Vivian be up in these streets.
That's great. So you are running right now for your third term for property assessor.
Yes.
Tell our audience why people should vote for you.
Oh, a number of reasons. You know, people should vote for me because I have 16 years of experience in the ad valorem arena. This is not fee appraisal. This is mass appraisal. Just had the amazing opportunity to speak to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development staff here in Nashville. Its office. That's where I started. That's why the seed was planted for me to go into the area of real estate appraising. And what I told them at that point was that that seed was planted here, and I took classes at TSU and then was hired at the Public Service Commission, but it was because I was working in the valuation section of the U.S. Department of Housing and Development, receiving the reports from fee appraisers who were doing appraisal work for HUD.
Yeah.
Crazy, the valuation section. And so starting out the Public Service Commission and being an appraiser, a real estate appraiser for 8 years, being responsible for cell towers and property that were owned by the for-profit gas, water, electric, and telephone utilities.
And they own a lot.
And it was then my boss, who I would see when I was just a receiving clerk at HUD, but when I became a real estate appraiser, of course, one of those appraisers became my boss, right, at the Public Service Commission. And I can remember him saying to me, he said, Vivian, we are considered the 96th assessor.
According to federal government standards?
According to state government standards. Now, remember, I was working for
there's 95 counties?
There you go. You're good. 95 counties, all 95 counties
and
has
you're
an assessor.
considered the 96th.
And we was considered the 96th assessor because we appraised, classified, identified all taxable property that, by the Constitution, state Constitution, the assessors could not pick up. So, for-profit utilities, we're talking about AT&T.
TVA.
Not TVA. TVA is its own animal. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Middle Tennessee Electric Services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Now,
NES.
Middle Tennessee Electric Service, unless they are co-op, I think that's a cooperative.
Okay.
Cooperative is under a different umbrella. We run into a lot. NES is not, because NES is a municipality.
Yep.
Municipally owned, so therefore, no, it is not. They have a board that is appointed by the mayor and
I forgot about that.
confirmed by the council.
Yep.
But for profit, they're not. The key word is for profit.
So AT&T, Google Fiber,
so
Comcast.
That's right. Nashville Gas, Comcast not, because it's another type of entity structure that they are under in reference to why the Tennessee Public Service Commission / Regulatory Authority did not assess and assess
that
them.
Whole lawsuit that happened a long time ago.
Could have been. I cannot really say which one it was. I just knew that was not one of our entities.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Nashville Gas, Piedmont Gas. They were one. Okay.
And they're huge.
They're huge. Kingsport Power, Atmos Gas, water company down in Chattanooga called Tennessee American Water. They may have changed their name by now, since I've been gone. And Kingsport Power, they're now Appalachian Power. Those are for-profit utilities.
Yep.
And we were the only ones that could pick them up, classify them. We were the only ones that could measure their buildings and value them.
Interesting.
And so once we did our work, because we also were in collaboration with the State Board of Equalization. So if those companies appealed, then we could appeal their appeal, or we could not agree with their appeal.
Okay.
So we were the 96 assessor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we completed our work, the values that we established, they were disseminated to each county where they operated.
Interesting.
And where that property was located.
Yeah.
And the tax rate would apply to the value. For commercial, 40% of value, the tax rate would be applied, and there's a tax bill. And those companies would pay taxes to that city.
That makes sense.
The 96 assessor.
And that's, okay.
So I come full circle.
Yeah.
8 years as the appraiser, coming into the assessor of property.
And then coming into the role of
assessor of property. That's right.
Okay.
And so when I became the assessor of property, the changes we made were tremendous, amazing. And, of course, there were a little learning curve, and for some people to understand that as an office, I am not beholden to the mayor. I'm beholden to the people, the mayor and the Metro Council, mayor or the council for that matter, but the mayor and the Metro Council are people I must work with to help make sure that people are educated about the process. And I did that intentionally. And then, of course, the mayor and Metro Council are they're responsible for, fulfilling my budget. So I'm not going to step on any toes.
And making laws.
That's right. I'm not going to step on any toes. I want to work with them. I want to help them help the constituents that are also my constituents to understand the process. And so working hand in hand is so very important. And that's the same thing even with legislators. When I went into office, one of the things that I saw immediately, and once the staff explained to me, shared with me the data of the sales that had occurred in 2016 and the reappraisal in 2017, and we have to use 2016 sales, they were saying, these sales are crazy. These arm's length sales that are not biased, that has no biases in it, like you're my brother, I'm your sister, I'm gonna sell you my property, right? Or you and I were married, we're going through a divorce. That's considered bias. But what they were saying to me was that these are sales we have to use, and values are going to increase exponentially. Because Nashville was on hot. Nashville was on fire.
It was right after the It City, New York Times.
City. I call it the Spirited City now because it's not as anymore, but it's still quite spirited, right?
I still think Nashville, we had this conversation earlier today. Nashville is still the American gold mine right now.
Absolutely.
And everything with the East Bank. So what are your thoughts on the East Bank?
Well, okay, so I do believe that the East Bank is going to be very community changing for that area.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to a couple of the meetings. Of course, I've been more focused on valuing fair and equitable values to property owners.
And there's so much there. And I know
there's so much there.
Like Metro owns 135 acres, and then there's 200 acres that are owned privately, and there's going to be 30-story skyscrapers. Like it's going to be massive.
Yes, Metro reclaimed land from that whole deal. Was able to receive land back and reclaim that land. We're going to have to see what's going to be built. We'll be looking at the permits that will be pulled and the values of those permits. There's going to be some exemptions somewhere in the mix. Somewhere it's going to be some taxable property somewhere in the mix.
Of course.
We just know it's going to be massive.
Yeah.
But that is not the biggest. I don't think that's going to be the challenge for us. It's nothing different than what's going on now. It's just happening in a very
more condensed
central area, right? And we know where that's going to be. I mean, Oracle is already on the rise, pretty much similar to the East Bank. Not as massive, but it's going to be something that's ongoing and ever growing, right?
It's an 80-acre development.
Yes,
is that correct?
absolutely. Yeah. So that's going to be a part of all these dynamics that we'll be appraising, classifying, and all that. Doing our job, the responsibilities of the assessor property and my amazing staff. But what's going to be the biggest thing for us right now is waiting to see how the state of Tennessee legislature is going to be moving in reference to how often we value property.
Okay.
Whether it be a delay.
So right now, is that every
4 years?
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just got my property assessment from you guys for my house. 21, I think.
That's right. You
so
did.
25
that's
will
right.
be the next one.
That's right. Right after.
So
after you elect me.
Yes, absolutely. is the state?
I like saying that sometimes.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Is the state trying to change that law so it's like every 2 years, or because like property values in the city in the last 2 years have skyrocketed?
Yeah, property values have, and to no one's fault.
Yeah.
Except the seller and the buyer.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the market is demanding this.
It's the market.
Yes.
It's the demands of the market.
Yes.
And we do an excellent job, I do believe, in ensuring that when we look at sales, we look at the sales that qualify as a sale. Again, if we know that sale is the result of some type of divorce, then that may be a sale that we might not want to use.
Okay.
Or if we look at a sale where the value, the sales price is so out of whack.
Yeah.
In reference to why in the world?
Yeah.
Better word. I love my children when they're listening, okay?
Yeah.
But why in the world would someone pay that much for a piece of property? We may have to set that sale.
Like $500,000.
Yeah, for a 700 square foot home.
Yes.
Okay?
And I'm like, what? Are you putting 2 homes there? Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
No, I just want to pay for it. I just want to live in the 7. I just like it. It was so cute and small.
Yeah.
And I had the money to pay for it because I'm from California. I mean, that type of thing. We may have to set that sale aside and say, we may not use that when we're trying to give the valuation of these properties that are close in proximity to it.
Yep.
So that's very important. But what the legislature is my understanding, what's going to be coming before the Tennessee General Assembly is a proposal on one side of saying you have the option to do more frequent reappraisal.
Okay.
All right, that's one. On the other side, there is a proposed legislation that says, it's more like Proposition 13, and that is
okay.
where that's where you're having a cap on tax rate.
Yep.
You have a cap on value, like no more than 2% in growth each year, and then you may have those two things: cap on rates and value.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So and value is not recognized, or new value is not recognized until the property is sold.
Yeah.
So you and I live in a very similar house. We both are valued at $100,000, and then you and your family move away and you sell your house, and of course, the city has said you got to be able to sell it for like $400,000. You have assessment at $400,000, and I have assessment at $100,000.
Yep. Yeah, my in-laws bought a house in '86 for $67,000 over in Cumberland Park.
Okay.
They sold it in 2018.
Appreciated.
For like $485,000. So they made good profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Off of that one.
That
Yes.
someone chose to sell, and someone chose to buy.
Yep.
Yeah, and so no one in the assessor's office has anything to do with that. We just get that data, and we said that's market. But it's mass appraisal, so some could be high, some could be.
But you're doing 276,000 properties.
You better believe it.
There's so much that you guys are doing, and your department's how many people? 25, 30?
Well, no. We started out when I was blessed by the voters in that office. We had, I think, 67 employees at that time. Now we have 82.
Okay, but you still there's still much demand
Still much
for 82 people.
Yes, and depending on how this law falls out, it depends on whether we'll need more or not need less, or won't need as many.
Yep.
Yeah.
This year's been an interesting year for you. We had a mayoral race here in Nashville.
We did.
And you were one of the, at one point, 11 candidates in Nashville.
No, I at one point one of 14.
One of 14. I forget.
And
14,
I ended up being one of 13 because one person got out.
Yeah, and then, which is a ridiculous amount of people
Yeah.
running for the office of mayor. What was your experience like, and what did you learn through that experience?
It was amazing. It really was amazing. It was an amazing experience. It has its pros and cons, but all in all, it was amazing. One of the things I would say that I didn't care too much for were the massive amount of forms.
And were most of these forums regarding policy? Was this because most of the forums I went to, I think 10 forums. And it was all regarding policy. And I'm like, I just want to learn about the individual. I don't want.
Yeah.
I've heard so much policy talk.
Well, I know you're interviewing me, but let me ask you this question. So you went to 10 forums.
Yeah, which I don't think most people went to even one. So.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to say, wow, you went to 10 forums. Are you sure? Okay, but no, what I'm saying is that when you went to those 10 forums, seriously, were all of them on different topics?
No, it was the same topic was transportation, affordable housing, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
The East Bank. The East Bank. Nothing about current developments happening in the city, like just all future stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
but they were all the same topics.
It was same topics, same answers every time. And that buzzer, that one, but for the one forum was so annoying with that buzzer.
Which one was that?
I think it was Belmont, maybe something. You guys would be talking, and then the buzzer would go off, and like you'd have 2 minutes to answer a question. And I'm like, you can't answer that type of question on transportation in 2 minutes. Like,
that was really pretty. It was very difficult to answer any of those questions.
Yeah, and there's so many people trying to answer these things in that regarded time. Personally, I would have liked to see more debate. Yeah, and instead of, I know there's 13 people running. I would have liked to see more debate. I think our society needs more debate. Because I agree. With debate, you have healthy societies.
Yeah, I agree.
We can't be critical of the other side of our political spectrum, but like debate allows countries to thrive. And
you really get the real difference.
Yes.
I mean, it was a lot of kumbaya, you know.
That's exactly how it felt.
Yeah, it was a lot of kumbaya. The number of forms was just crazy. And I want to talk to you person. I want to touch skin. I want to get at these events and I want to have my own events. I want to have my own events where I can talk about, you know, what is it that I would do differently, or what is it I would do going forward, or why do I believe that I'm qualified? You know, I don't even think that question even come up, you know, about why do you think you're better qualified?
Just the qualifications that you just explained about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's an incredible story of doing all of that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it was hard with, first off, with 13 people running. Like, that's hard. Everyone's limited to 1.5 to 2 minutes of talking time.
Yeah.
It's the same talking point at every forum. XPLR NASH is hosting a forum. The next mayoral election, we are hosting a forum, and it's going to be personality-based, and we're going to talk about food, we're going to talk about culture, and what we've learned through food and culture.
And I'm going to co-host it with them.
Yes, Vivian's going to co-host.
I'll be the surprise guest.
Yeah, and I am A-okay with it. The overall, though, what did you learn about yourself?
I learned that on the Metro Council, when I served the Metro Council from 2003 to 2011, yes, I was all about really pushing the envelope to make things happen for my district. And
I think the district that you were at is a district, from my perspective, that Metro government did not care about.
Well, yes and no. Metro government didn't care about any of the districts except downtown.
Yeah, and then
and we talked about that.
And then even like Antioch and like there's certain districts even like out towards Ashland City now.
Yeah,
like, I think Metro government doesn't care about that part of the county.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the purse string holder at that time, David Mine's gone blank. Bless his heart, he's passed away.
David, I know that.
yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Well, he heard my cry, and when I talked about, a recreational center and things like that, he made some things happen there.
Would you guys build one?
Yeah, yes.
And it's a great
well,
rec center.
Well, now the community center that came after me with the following council person, but it was in my budget.
Yeah,
it was in my budget to push. And the one thing that I got big out of my term was having a new fire hall,
which was desperately needed. Because the response time, if I remember reading correctly, for some fire calls in there, was like 14 minutes for a fire truck to get there. And at that time, your structure's completely burnt down.
Absolutely gone. Okay, and they split up those two engines, 33 and 35. They moved that. I was happy about that. Getting some to make things safer in the community, getting some traffic lights that was much needed is infrastructure, and definitely was happy to get that. So. But the concern was basically more of downtown, and which was reason why sometime I had to not be that just go along to get along person when it came to things that we were voting on for downtown, because it was not benefiting my people, and anything that was going to be dumped on us was always at that time things they don't want in the downtown area. I'm like, you need to deal with it the same way we're having to deal with it. So, that you would think that, but not from the council person perspective why I had to, when I'm fighting for it. But yes, I do agree with this, that, when you talk about any area outside of Davidson County, not just specifically District 29, outside of the inner core, it was not
classified as the urban core.
The urban core, yes, was not being given the attention that it deserved. But it definitely wasn't because of the representation coming from that area of the people that we were beholden to. And so,
and don't get me wrong. Downtown Nashville. I talked about this earlier with somebody today too. We were meeting with a guy, the assistant nightlife director, and we're talking about like
the nightlife director.
Nightlife director.
Are you going to go with him to the places?
Yeah, we're going to go do some videos. Yeah, it's going to be fun. But
yes,
we were talking about that, and like we know downtown was a 30-year plan. To get to this point.
Yeah,
and downtown's great. It is our economic driver for the city.
I totally agree. As mayor, when I was running for mayor, of course, I was always I believed that we could do both.
Yeah,
you have to grow the city.
Yep.
Or, no disrespect to our other counties, but there are counties that would love to have the growth that Nashville has.
Oh, Wilson County would love
No,
it?
we're talking about the ones that's even more similar in size.
Oh, yeah.
If not, of course, big enough in landmass, but we're talking about Shelby County.
Yep.
They have their tax rate. Their tax rate declining, they've never come up.
Yes.
Their tax rate is almost double Davidson County's tax rate because they have no growth, okay? And then you can look at Knox County. You look at Hamilton County. Hamilton County is recognizing their growth a little bit more. But my point is that we have the lowest tax rate right now, the third lowest tax rate in Davidson County history, one. Now, of course, we are being impacted by, the fact that people are coming and buying and selling and what have you. So we have to use market value, which stays the same for 4 years. But when you compare us to other cities of like size, of the other metropolitan city in those counties, our tax rate is the lowest of all of them.
In the United States, isn't it?
In Tennessee. I don't have the data for the whole United States, but
we're one of the lowest in the United States, I think.
Yeah. And so our tax rate is the lowest of all of those counties, Shelby, Hamilton, and Knox.
Yep.
Okay? And and that is the type of things that we have to communicate to folks. And I know still they don't care because, in fact, they want a low value. But when you ask the question, well, what would you sell your property for? Well, not what you have it for. It'd be more. Yeah, well, okay, if it'd be more, then we obviously got it right. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then recognize it's going to be that value for the next 4 years unless you do some type of improvement to your property or unless, God forbid, something happens to your property and it, something happens where it's not habitable or it's not operative if it's your business. And we have to do our due diligence and adjust that value depending on the time of year when it happens.
Of course.
So, the mayor's race, coming back to what you had asked me, it really just kind of it showed me some things that as a Metro Council person, while I was fighting, we should have collaborated a little bit more, which there were some groups that I kind of got in with in order to ensure that we were being good stewards of the people resources. Still, I think that there were some things we kicked down the road, and we should have been kicking it down the road. We should have fought and fought again, I mean, there's no reason for us to be this far behind in reference to transit. It really is not.
And the proposal that's coming over the next couple weeks from Freddie's office.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. I don't think anyone
I'm
really
looking
has
forward
seen
to
it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's dated in the sense of we're really focusing on buses. We should be focusing on new technology.
Yeah. Okay.
That's coming into cities like Dubai or Abu Dhabi and these other foreign cities that are doing drone services from buildings to buildings or have type of elevator systems to buildings. Like we should, yes, we need to fix what we have, but we also need to be thinking of our future of like, hey,
at the same time,
what's 100 years going to look like?
What it's going to look like. That's right. I get that. I'm looking forward to seeing it. No doubt. But on the, running for mayor, that's the thing that I saw. And it was just pretty evident to me. I said, wow, in fact, we kind of kicked things down the road. We really should have gotten together as council members and said, these are things they may be tough for us to make the decision on, but we got to make the decision now. And I'm not talking about just my term from 2003 to 2011. I'm talking about, even
the
prior.
Last, 67 years of Metro
prior
government?
terms, but everybody was, I'm sure, were doing the best they can with what they had. I get that, no doubt about it. But I know in the administration of John Cooper, we got sidewalks. There was some sidewalk. When we were told they're too expensive, they're this or that. I'll tell you one thing that really, really irked me, to see that there were speed pasts that was so easy to be able to be put out. But when I was on council, oh my gosh, it was like pulling a tooth from a lion.
And what Cooper did is they figured out the technology to go a little bit not as low in the ground to be able to build sidewalks.
Okay.
It's a really interesting technology.
Oh, did not know that. Yeah.
And so they were able to make it more cost efficient for that particular sidewalk.
And see, that's great. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely wonderful. So, that I learned that. But all in all, I believe that as a result of my running for mayor and my desire at that time, I now know, and these are the things I know that being the assessor of property is important than ever before.
Especially because most people don't know what you do.
Yes, and I've spent the last 8 years with that focus, what we do, and the fact that you have the right to appeal. You can appeal every year. Did you know that? Many people didn't know that.
Nope. I knew I could appeal because he said it in the document.
You can appeal every year. Yeah. What about exemptions? Tell me my right to appeal. We will even help you to appeal. How to be better with our Schedule Bs.
Yep.
I mean, and then don't wait till a person is an adult to educate them about the process of our office.
No, this should be happening. This education should be happening in middle school and high school.
Yeah,
and it should be required by law that this education.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, we're doing it. We've already done 3 schools, and if it had not been for COVID, I could have announced even more schools. And we have done the youngest class as young as the 4th grade.
Wow!
And they get it because of the way we present it. Funny story. So we were at Cambridge High School, and so I asked the teacher, would you allow them to be able to pull out their phones and stuff, because we want to go to padctn.org. And so when you pull out your phone, you look up your parents, you look up your address, if you own your own home.
Yep. I'm on that website actually more than most people probably think.
Good. Yeah. And so you got that. And then of course and then there's the student that lives in an apartment. I tell them, look up that address of that apartment, because that has a value too. And the rent that you pay is paying taxes just like your friend is paying mortgage.
Yep.
Okay. You have an ownership into that too.
Yes.
So we are very, very clear in reference to the fact that everyone has a vested interest here.
Yep.
And then we talk about...
And then the ownership idea gets people out of the victim mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And then once they see, how this works, how it's calculated, what it means, and talk about that it pays for your teacher, your favorite teacher, pays for her salary, helps to pay for that.
Yep.
And then the other benefits of the city that you get from the payment of taxes. There's a connection that happens. It's relatable.
Yep.
And I have had students, and this is not public school, private schools, we go to them both. And I've had students to see me and say, I remember when you came to my class, and I went home and told my mother that she could appeal her value. I told my dad that they could appeal their value. And they did. Don't know how it turned out because, I don't get that close to it in reference to it. But my whole point is you can impact at every level. All you have to do is communicate it. And that's something we've done. We've done it more than any of the administrations, previous administrations. Like I stated, we've done more than 250 outreach presentations. And we also do them in a non-reappraisal year, which is awesome. And again, of course, COVID put through a wrench in everyone's wheel. And so now that the revolving door of who's a property owner, who's not, and what have you, almost kind of like starts all over for us because the fact there was that time where we could not do
so
education that we, But I did a few that were virtual, probably no more than a few. When others began to also realize we can do things virtual, I said invite me. So I've done things in reference to other organization HOAs and things like that who were not coming together, but they were meeting virtually. We've done those. One of the most things that I'm proud about is that when I first went in office, the first thing I did was give NOAA their agenda for 2017, and that was to talk about the tax freeze, tax relief, and tax deferral programs, all because we knew where values were going.
Yep.
And me explaining that to them and how the process worked, they took that information I gave them and they ran with it, talking to folks about getting on the programs and making sure that they were aware that these programs are available. So it was amazing, and that was probably I know it was the only time to date that we had property owners lined up outside of the building, the trustee's office, not my office, because we were talking about it, and the trustee is the office that administers the program. But we talked about it in a sense because we wanted people to be aware and don't wait till last minute to get on these programs that are there to benefit you.
Yep. It's some of my clients and that I show off Nashville to them. We talk about property tax because they're business owners. They're people that.
So you're a realtor.
No, we have the brand Explore Nash. So we create content all about the city of Nashville, history, development, food, attractions, adventure. We have 15 categories that we cover. We have about 110,000 followers right now. So, but I do private luxury tours of the city of Nashville as a side gig.
Awesome.
And so I'm working with C-suite executives, people that are relocating their companies here before they approach the chamber and they're trying to see this market.
Yeah.
And so I'm showing off this market a lot to a lot of people. And property taxes always come up because they're like, oh, I'm from Seattle and we pay this in property taxes.
Yeah, actually, we have a state tax, right?
And state tax. And so that conversation always comes up. And I say I have nearly 2 acres and I pay about $2,100 a year in property taxes. And they're like, you have almost 2 acres and you're paying that much. And then the square footage of your house and all that and that calculation. And they're like, oh.
And location.
Yes.
Yeah, and they should be saying what are the sales in that area, because even if a home that's being compared is 2 acres and is not improved, but is it improved? It has a building on it.
It has a house on it. Yeah,
has a house. Okay, all right.
We have and we have a smaller house, 1,000 square feet, but they hear that and they're like, oh, I am going to relocate here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Reduce their tax burden.
And so, and here you come, that group of people recognizing that. Is there's a benefit what they heard. First the tax rate, then really how much you're paying for what you have, because in the state that they're probably coming from.
Oh, it's outrageous. Like they may be paying $10,000 a month or not a month, a year on their property tax for the same type of property I have here.
Did someone say Texas?
No, no one has said Texas, but most of them have been from New York or California.
Oh, California, but Texas is one of those same places. Yeah.
So Vivian, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Where can people?
Are we we're over?
Yeah, I have to get to a haircut.
tell someone to bring me some more water and
I have.
let's talk some more.
We'll get you back on. I have to get to a haircut, and
Okay.
I haven't had a haircut in like a month, and I'm feeling it.
Really? It looks good.
Yeah, thank you, though.
It doesn't look long.
Yeah, I like the sides a little bit tighter and my
Okay.
beard cleaned up.
Okay,
So,
beard. Okay,
yeah.
the beard. Okay, I got you.
it's like a crow's nest down here. So Vivian, where could people learn more about you for the assessor of property?
KeepVivian.com.
That's a great website.
Yeah, KeepVivian.com. You been there?
I've been. I think your mayoral website was different, correct?
It was different. KeepVivian.com.
So I have not been to keepvivian.com yet, but I will be there.
Yeah, yeah. I've like I said, I've moved from the mayoral race. I am now a better leader as a result of it. I have no regrets of it, and I do believe that race and all of the forms, while many and much, no doubt, it showed me a lot, taught me a lot, and so I really know that this is where I need to be, and this is where I will be able to help Nashville in reference to my experience, which is of 16 years, and the things that we've done in that office, and the amazing staff that we have. Is so much has changed, and we have plenty of change in reference to the transition from an aging staff to now a staff that they had to turn over from people who have retired, and with that, it has brought us some great employees who are certified and designated through not only IAAO but also through the holy grail of appraisal institute is the Appraisal Institute. So we're just excited. We're happy where we are, and where we're going in reference to our office. And with this new, since you come to the website a lot, this new camera system that we have, we're slowly bringing it in. I think you're going to see a lot of benefits. You're going to say, wow, a lot of things there.
Yeah, let's get you back on the podcast.
Yes,
because
we
want the camera
because
system. I think that highlighting that's going to be really interesting. And
yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to do a press
I-
release on it too, because we want people to know in case they're having some glitches coming on the website. We're going through this transition.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. We'll get you back on, and then I also want to go through the website with you and just appraise some properties.
Oh.
I think that would be a fun topic.
Okay, that'd be fun.
Shout out your favorite restaurant in Nashville, real quick.
Oh my gosh, my favorite restaurant in Nashville. I have to say Sweats.
Sweats is great. I
have to say Sweats.
It is a great place.
Yes, and Sweats. The meat and three. Even though my husband can beat them in a meat and three because it's convenient. He's at home.
Yeah,
and he's mine, right? But Sweats it's a wonderful place to come to have conversation with people. I love seeing David there and the different people that come through there. You even get an opportunity to see the owner of the hot chicken of Prince.
Yeah, Princess. Yeah.
Princess Hot Chicken. She's there on Sundays, and Miss Andre, thank you. Grabbed it from me. She is amazing.
Yeah.
She's really. I think I saw you there one Sunday, was I not?
I have not been to Sweats in a while.
What? What's wrong with you?
I just don't get out that.
You don't
yeah, I need to. We're planning on doing a meet and three series soon. So the Sweats is the one we're going to highlight.
Yes.
And then Wendell Smith's.
Mm-hmm. Wendell's, Wendell's is a good one.
And then Arnold's.
And then Arnold's.
Arnold's
has come back.
Yeah, they just reopened.
What
and then,
happened?
So they got bought out by Paseo South.
Okay.
And supposedly they're
Familiar with
moving
that.
across the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And then something happening with permits, I think, planning, and they can't get the permits pulled. So they're like, might as well reopen this restaurant for something. Something happened there, and I don't know the exact correlation of everything that happened.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. But I'm glad that they're opening back up. And Arnold, they've done some new things in their restaurant with a bar.
Yep. It's fantastic now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was shocked when I saw a bar there. It's like going to Shoney's and say, wow, Shoney's got a bar.
Yeah.
The Bears grown up.
Shoney's all gone now, unfortunately.
The Shoney's out on...
The Shoney's downtown, they're gone.
Not that one. The one out by the airport.
Okay. Oh, yeah, they're still there.
That's the one with the bar.
But then Shoney's, their headquarters used to be right down the street on Elmhill Pike. They're no longer in that building.
Yep, I'm familiar with that.
So it's interesting to see. Vivian, we're going to get you back on. This was a pleasure.
I was enjoying this.
Yeah. Thank you
so
much.
And I'm looking forward to March the 5th.
KeepVivian.com. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.